What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And today's video comes as a suggestion that I got on Twitter. Someone actually tagged me and I was like, hey man, can I do this for a video? And he's like, sure, go for it. And it is a post-week 1 of college football overreactionary mock draft. So taking the sample size that was incredibly small, that was week 1 of the college football season, and then just having a little bit of fun here with the mock draft. Obviously, this is not going to be something that I do every single week, but if you're doing something that's overreactionary, take it in the spirit of the video. You only really want to do that after 1 week because that's how you overreact to something. So we're going to have some fun here. We're using NFLmockdraftdatabase.com for the mock draft, and you're upset with the draft order, reach out to them. I assume they're probably going off Vegas odds or something like that. But we're going to go through this mock draft, have a little bit of fun, and I just need a little break from Madden, just a little. Pink Slips will be back tomorrow, and then on Sunday, something. Probably have to talk about the Eagles game, but I'm also maybe a Pink Slips, probably not a rebuild, might be Monday when the new rebuild drops. Because actually, I probably will work on Saturday. It's a pretty light college football slate on Saturday, so maybe I'll want to work during that. Either way, let's get into this mock draft. Let's have a little bit of fun. So without further ado, at pick number 1, the Houston Texans, who there will be one assumption only made in this mock draft. Deshaun Watson is no longer a Houston Texan, and he's on the Miami Dolphins. That is the top rumor. So that is the only thing that I am giving you to just keep in the back of your brain, keep in the back of your dome piece there, is that in this mock draft, Deshaun Watson's clearly not going to be on Houston. Right now, where there's smoke, there's fire. He is tied with the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins at pick 26 are not going to be looking for a quarterback. Tua went wherever. I'm not going to really think about that one too much. So without further ado, at number 1, I'm still going to have Spencer Rattler go off the board here. He didn't have the greatest game against Tulane week 1, but you know, what you saw week 1 in Spencer Rattler's game against Tulane is like kind of the player that he is. He's an incredibly boomer bust player that you're going to be drafting based upon the upside, based upon the potential. He has arm talent that is first overall qualities. It's just sometimes the decision making, the accuracy fails him a little bit. But ultimately, if you're looking still for the highest ceiling quarterback in this class, I mean, there's someone, you know, I think Malik Willis and Matt Corral from Ole Miss could be in the conversation for highest ceiling as well, but I still think I think I'd still get that title of Rattler. And even though, you know, a little hot and cold performance against Tulane, I still think he's the number 1 quarterback, the number 1 player that goes in the draft next season, and the Houston Texans get the replacement for Deshaun Watson. Pick number 2, we have the Detroit Lions, who if they are picking into, assumptions need to be made from this draft order as well. So, like, you know, if the Lions are the second worst team, they're clearly not going to be committing to Jared Goff. Therefore, quarterback needs to be an area they look at improving. And for me, I am actually going to have them get Matt Corral, the quarterback from Ole Miss, at pick 2. Sam Howell did not look good, and it's not necessarily all his fault, but he made some bad plays in that game against Virginia Tech. And I just think in today's NFL, in a draft class where this is a very questionable draft class, 2023 is a draft class you're going to want a quarterback. So knowing the Lions in a pinch, go with the upside. I feel when in doubt on a weak draft class, go with the upside so you don't get stuck with like an EJ Manuel type dude. And I think Matt Corral has the highest upside. Needs a lot of refinement, but I think in terms of wow playability, I think in terms of, you know, you want a comp for Matt Corral, it's probably Zach Wilson. Like you get some Zach Wilson vibes out of him. Has all the arm talent, can make just insane off-script throws, but kind of like Spencer Rattler in a certain degree, needs to be refined, needs to get the mental between the ears kind of figured out, the accuracy, consistency figured out, but the upside is there to have a franchise quarterback, and Matt Corral is going to the Motor City. Pick 3, the Jets are on the clock. Thought long and hard about this pick. I think Thibodeau makes sense. But I'm thinking like Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas, what he's been doing, the priority on the offensive line, you have Becton, you got AVT, and if you're not going Thibodeau, and you're I'm trying to think like Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas was in Philadelphia. If Joe Douglas had the 3rd overall pick, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you that even with the addition of Zach Wilson, he needs more support. I don't think the defense will ultimately be the reason why they're here at 3. I think they can hammer home. I mean, they have another first-round pick that they can look on the defensive side of the ball. I think at this time you get a guy that's right there with Sewell in terms of like can't miss, borderline, don't want to say generational, but Evan Neal. I'm having them going Evan Neal at right tackle. And with that, with Evan Neal and Mekhi Becton, they instantly, I'm saying this right now, hot take, instantly have the best tackle combo in the NFL. Absolutely. Becton's already established himself as, the big ticket. I think you could argue, if you were doing, I don't know, overall big picture right now, he's definitely top 10, I think, in terms of left tackles, big picture. But if you're doing like something where, just throw it out there, fantasy draft, a redraft, where you're trying to build your team right now, I don't know if Becton wouldn't be a top 5 tackle, in terms of order, in terms of where teams would want to be going out and grabbing some players there. So I think very tough decision between Thibodeau and Evan Neal, but I think if you're at 3, you still need more pieces on the offense. Grab Evan Neal, and then with that second first-round pick, grab someone on the defensive side of the ball that can help you. You can't go wrong here. Definitely want to hear the Jets' opinion on this. I think you can't miss with either one of these guys. I think the argument would be, is Thibodeau a scheme fit versus someone like Evan Neal, who's scheme-proof, and maybe Thibodeau is also kind of scheme-proof, but I think it's a safer pick. Overall, if you told me the Jets right now, if you're thinking between Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau, why C4 did you go with Evan Neal? I think offense, let's help with the offense here a little bit. Help with Zach Wilson. Let's give him what he had at BYU, which is an S-tier elite offensive line. And who is slightly safer? I think it might be Evan Neal. So pick number 4, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are just excited. They need just the best player available at this spot, and they're getting Kayvon Thibodeau, and I am a Philadelphia Eagle fan that is crying because that is my dream pick right now for them. But for the Jacksonville, get a guy, young edge rusher that can come in and really kind of establish himself on the other side of Josh Allen. And I think for the Jacksonville Jaguars, like that guy right there, marketing standpoint, that is another player to get excited for. Debatably, they're coming out of last draft with Trevor Lawrence and this draft with Thibodeau with the top player overall in back-to-back drafts. That is a hell of a way to start building your roster if you're Urban Meyer. So I have them going Thibodeau. I wish they didn't. If this was the draft order, I'd be pretty upset because Thibodeau is my dream pick. But as a Philadelphia Eagle fan at 5, could be a lot worse. I'm going to have them get Derek Stingley. I think for Philly at 5, if this is the board, I would be very upset if they go quarterback. I think between Stingley, Kyle Hamilton, and Leal would be the pick. If you told me right now, C4, where do you think Philly would go? Not me doing a mock draft. I think if that's the board, my gut would say Howie Roseman would go Leal. Because we have Jonathan Gannon who's doing some mixed fronts, some 3-4 sets, some 4-3, and someone like Leal right there with Milton Williams trying to establish the new era of the defensive line. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox are getting up there in age a little bit, and I think Philly could see Leal as that, the successor to Fletcher Cox and a guy that absolutely could succeed in Jonathan Gannon's front. But ultimately, I think with the Eagles, well, they're so not great in the secondary. We have Darius Slay. He's getting older. I wouldn't be shocked if he could be a salary cap cut if Philly's really this bad next year. They look to try to just full on commitment to get younger. Stingley is the best corner that I've seen. I talked about it on Twitter. I think the last 2 great corner prospects were Jair Alexander, and then before that was Jalen Ramsey. And I think Stingley's right up in that mix. Little bit of a down year last year at LSU, but that was across the board. Still think as of week 1 of the college football season, he is corner 1. He is a top 5 player, and Philadelphia finally gets their lockdown young franchise corner, which we've never had. They've never had since I've been a fan. They had Lito Shepherd. That was a long time ago, and that was he was there. They drafted him before I started supporting the Eagles. So Stingley to Philadelphia at 5. We still have 2 other first-round picks to improve the squad. I just think at 5, even if Jalen Hurts sucks, wait till next year to get a quarterback. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, grab a QB. Maybe that slips in the second round, but we'll see those at the end of this draft. Pick 6, the Cincinnati Bengals. They have to go offensive line, best lineman available. And I think at this point, it is Kenyon Green. He's going to play tackle for Texas A&M. A lot of people think he's going to be a guard in the NFL. Either or, he is a bona fide. Just view him as a tackle. If you view him as a tackle, pick 6 is easily justifiable. If you view him as a guard, maybe a little rich to draft a guard. I just think he is the most talented offensive lineman at this point. Could go Kirkland from Washington. I just don't really have him graded out right now as a top 10 pick. But we've already seen it from the preseason. They have to go offensive line. I would even argue at this point, see if you could trade up to secure Evan Neal. But Kenyon Green is a great consolation prize and brings elite versatility to the spot because I think he can be a very good guard, very good tackle in the NFL. Pick 7, we have the Vegas Raiders. And for the Raiders here, I think they're going with the quarterback that might have been the most impressive quarterback from week 1. And a lot of people are thinking that, a lot of momentum right now. and that is going to be Carson Strong from Nevada. Get the guy, I don't think he's actually from Nevada, but local kid from a college standpoint, kind of getting the little, what ifs if a Tebow went to Jacksonville kind of deal. Like, I think that's going to be a strong marketing selection, as well as he looks impressive. The franchise guy was talking, a lot of comparisons to Justin Herbert. You could see that on tape. Got a real live arm, prototypical size, prototypical, I don't want to say tendencies, but like he looks like, I think I would take him over Howell and Willis at this point. I think that's not much of a stretch. And I think to justify the selection, you look at it as picking top 10, probably like who's going to go first, Derek Carr or John Gruden on his fucking 10-year contract? It's probably going to be Derek Carr, and they're going to give John Gruden an opportunity with a young quarterback. And out of these guys, I would say, yeah, let's go Carson Strong. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Let's connect the dots. Let's overreact from week 1 and give them Carson Strong, the hottest quarterback from week 1. Pick number 8, the New York Giants. They're on the clock, and if they're picking at 8, clearly Danny Dimes has not proven himself, and I'm going to have them select here Sam Howell. I think the slip stops around here. I don't think Howell's going to be as bad. Like, after that week 1 performance, there's probably going to be people that are a little upset. They're going to be like, oh my God, he's the next Mitchell Trubisky or something like that. But there's still something there. It was his offense got depleted. He lost Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, one of the best 1-2 punch running backs in all of college football. He lost Diami Brown, Daz Newsome, really good 1-2 punch, probably one of the better 1-2 punches at wide receiver in the ACC. So, like, he does not have a whole lot of help there right now. So, it's going to be a really tough evaluation because now I'm kind of looking at Sam Howell as, like, how are you going to elevate these guys that don't have quite the talent? Like, that is what's going to separate him from the other quarterbacks that are going to be in this logjam. Really, it's wide open. This is the last time I can remember that the QB1 spot has been incredibly wide open. And what I'm looking for from Sam Howell is elevate those guys around him. We know you don't have that talent. Make them good. Like, that is in my opinion, like a requirement of a guy that's going to be drafted really high, top 10 pick at quarterback. Can you at least show signs that you will be a quarterback that can make average players look great? That's what we want to see, man. He has to pass that test. Has a lot more college football left to play, but that is what I want to see from Howell. I think ultimately, if you're the Giants at 8, you're going to take that opportunity. Pick 9, we have the Atlanta Falcons, and if they have a top 10 pick, it's probably going to usher out the Matt Ryan era, and I'm going to have them grab the last bona fide first-round QB prospect, in my opinion, right now, in Malik Willis from Liberty. You get a guy here that has really good scrambling ability. You look at Arthur Smith, what he had with Ryan Tannehill. He, definitely could trend towards a mobile quarterback being what they want to look for there, and doesn't come a lot more mobile this year than Malik Willis. Cannon of an arm. A lot of refinement that needs to get done. Again, it's not a great quarterback class. So maybe it is surprising to have all these quarterbacks here going this high within the top 10, but the teams that are picking the top 10, they need a QB. And I think they're going to prioritize getting a quarterback. I think Malik Willis would be a very fun option there in Atlanta. Obviously, you're going to get the immediate comparison, so he's going to be the next Michael Vick. Not really the same kind of player as Michael Vick, but, I guess he's the Michael Vick of this class, and I think there's still a very high ceiling there. Obviously, level of competition, a little bit worried, but I like the comp that he's this year's Trey Lance. And I think Atlanta will be pretty happy and pretty optimistic with the selection of pick 9 if they're able to bring him in to be the successor for Matt Ryan. Pick 10, we have the Carolina Panthers, and I'm going to have the Carolina Panthers. This is probably going to be the best pick of the draft outside of maybe Thibodeau to the Jags. They're going to get Kyle Hamilton. This is a defense that with Jeremy Chinn, who's kind of that linebacker safety hybrid, you throw in someone like Kyle Hamilton, that immediately improves that defensive secondary. And I just think any DB and linebacker would be where I'd prioritize this top pick here for Carolina. And they're getting a guy in Kyle Hamilton, dominated week 1. I've seen some comps saying like maybe he bulks up and be a linebacker hybrid, kind of like Jeremy Chinn. Having those two versatile players, I don't think they're going to step on each other's toes. I think that's a secondary that you can make work and complement each other. And I think if you are Carolina at this opportunity, that is, like, you're running that one up to the podium. That is as easy of a pick as I'm going to make in this mock draft. Pick 11, the Giants at 11. Wow. Back up on the clock again. I'm going to have them go get Drake Jackson, the edge rusher from USC. Right now, I think the edge spot for the Giants is, you got Carter, you got Zimenez, you just got to pick on Ojulari. Still, I would say there's room to improve. Drake Jackson, I think, can stand up. I think he's going to be. You could absolutely have Thibodeau stand up as well in a 3-4, but I think if you're looking for pure 3-4 edge rusher, Jake Jackson might be the top guy in this draft class, at least right now. Look at the rest of these guys. Adam Anderson could do it. Benito from Oklahoma, sure. Cox. ZTF, maybe. I would say at this point, though, Drake Jackson, run it. Again, very easy pick, I think, for the Giants to make it this spot. Need to improve their pass rush in a big way. Got the down lineman set, right? You got Leonard Williams, breakout year last year. You got Dex Lawrence. I love that pick when they made it. Help him out on the edge, and maybe long-term, a Drake Jackson is Ojulari edge rushing combo. Sounds pretty juicy, man. Don't really want to go up against that as an Eagle fan. Pick 12. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and I have for the Steelers, well, QB. You're not really going to reach at this point. I don't think out of these guys, anyone's really separated themselves. Slovis still has questions about can he fully recover from that injury. I think Ritter, JT Daniels, Jurkovich had a huge week 1 for Boston College, but again, level of competition wasn't the best. Does Pittsburgh go with, do they go with, what's his name? Dwayne Haskins? Is there something there? Like he didn't look brutal in the Either way, if I'm the Steelers, it's just BPA here. Keep on keeping on with the defense. DeMarvin Leal, perfect fit for that 3-4. He's going to be 3-4 defensive end. Him into it. You get your successor right there for Cam Hayward. Best player available. You're going to be able to find a way to get him on the field there and get younger at that spot. This is maybe not going to be the popular pick, but I don't see anyone else. If you're a Steelers fan, are you reaching for a quarterback here at 12? Probably not. So let's just go BPA. Kyer Elam's there. You could grab Booth. You could get, center here if you wanted to. I just think what makes the Pittsburgh Steelers rock right now, and it's the defense. Get a guy that's, I would even argue at this point, like top 5 from what I've seen. Leal could be a fringe top 5 overall prospect in this draft. He's just falling to you, man. That's. I think for me, in my opinion, that's an easy pick, given the quarterbacks that are on the board. 13 for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to have them select out of Clemson. No Gator bias here. Andrew Booth. He was very impressive in the game against Georgia. Made a couple really good open field tackles. I think there's still a lot of upside there. Hasn't played a whole lot of snaps at Clemson, so there is going to be a lot of projection with this selection. But I think the secondary there for the Arizona Cardinals needs to continue to add pieces. I think Byron Murphy is a fine corner, but I think you need to find another guy out there that has a very equally high ceiling as a starting outside corner, and I think Andrew Booth is going to be that selection. If they're picking at 13, questions could come in that maybe they got rid of Cliff Kingsbury. And if that is the case, maybe changes could be coming on the offensive side of the ball, but I still think that offense is pretty damn good. Let's continue to help beef up this defense a little bit, and Booth is the selection. 14, we have the Washington football team. We're actually going to have them just double dip here at corner. They're going to get Kyer Elam from Florida. I think when you look at football team in their secondary, they got some good guys. Do they have great guys? Fuller, probably more of a slot guy, right? So who's going to be your outside corner there? Hey, are we going to let Lightning? Troy Apke can be coming out? Probably not. So I think in this spot here, getting Kyer Elam, getting a guy that's going to project as a starting outside corner is the best value possible for Washington. Again, they could be in the market for a quarterback, but are you screaming at them to draft one of these quarterbacks at 14? Probably not. I think you could go, argue offensive line. Again, where are you going? Are you going center? Do you need a center? Yeah. I'd probably get corner at this point. I think the value is at corner here if you are a football team. 15, we have the Denver Broncos. I'm going to add the Denver Broncos here again. Another team could be looking for a quarterback. I was thinking Jurkovich because it's week 1, overreaction. But, John Elway's not really pulling the strings anymore. He's a John Elway quarterback. So I'm thinking probably, at this point at 15, are they going to be in play for Aaron Rodgers? I'm not making that assumption this mock draft. The only one I'm doing is with Deshaun. But maybe, Denver, it seems like Denver, from a organizational team building standpoint, they're going to be a lot more open to trading for a veteran. So I still think Aaron Rodgers to Denver could be in play. So if that is the case, I'm going to have them try to improve their front 3, their defensive line, and I'm going to have them get Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher for Michigan. I think he is going to develop into a 3-4 defensive end. And at this point here, I think he can plug and play, start on that defensive line, fits their scheme, fits what Fangio, does Fangio hold on to his job if they come 15th? I think he does, because I think there's some level of assumption of we gave you Teddy Bridgewater. We kind of know our expectations. 15's not bad with Teddy. It's probably what you're going to get with Teddy Bridgewater. So I would have them go and try to improve that front 3. And by bringing in Hutchinson, who's probably, people are saying, man, he could bulk up 285, 280, 285, and test very well at the combine. I think there actually was a report that, what they had with Kwity Paye, like some of Hutchinson's testing numbers were like in the ballpark. Paye's an S-tier athlete. So I think Hutchinson, safe pick, maybe not a sexy pick, but keeps that defense where it needs to be. Pick 16, we have the Philadelphia Eagles back on the clock, and I'm going to have them just grab best edge rusher available, and I'm going to have them getting Karlaftis from Purdue. Again, kind of fits the mold of when we were talking up here of DeMarvin Leal maybe being a fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Karlaftis, bigger, like he's like 275, 280, not getting any younger in Brandon Graham, and I think for that multiple hybrid fronts that I think we're going to see with Jonathan Gannon, they're going to like those guys that are versatile, like Milton Williams. I think in that vein, you're going to get that here from the Purdue edge rusher. Maybe not the, again, Philly, like, I got to wait and see. I want to give Quez, Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith the benefit of the doubt here without them jumping on an Olave or Garrett Wilson or Burks, like one of the top wide receivers. So, it's a typical Howie Roseman pick, improve the defensive line. 17, Minnesota Vikings are up here on the clock. And I'm going to have the Minnesota Vikings here actually grab Chris Olave. Don't know necessarily yet who I like between Olave and Wilson. I do actually agree with this site. I have them as my wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. And I'm just thinking more so for the Minnesota Vikings. Thielen's not getting any younger, and you do have Justin Jefferson. You're going to probably usher in a brand new quarterback, and really the wide receivers after that drops off. So if you're still projecting that, all right, Adam Thielen's going to be a year older, don't really have that third wide receiver option, and they're trying to throw everything at the wall to find that third wide receiver option by bringing in D.D. Westbrook and stuff like that. Just get Olave. Proven deep threat, good route runner, solid hands. I don't see any way right now from week 1 how he's not wide receiver 1 in the draft. I mean, looking at the names here, yeah, I would say there. And just improve that spot for Minnesota. No quarterbacks. I don't, maybe the idea, I don't know how the A&M guy looked from the preseason. Does he look like he can be the successor to Kirk Cousins, or they got to look outside the building for a quarterback? But again, another spot where like maybe this at 17 is the end of the Kirk Cousins era, and you do reach for a quarterback here, like a JT Daniels or Desmond Ridder or a Slovis. But I think like when you're looking at this pool of quarterbacks, are you running that pickup when you still have Kellen Mond? I don't think that's the case. Let's get another weapon there at wide receiver. Pick 18, we have the LA Chargers. And for them, I'm going to go and get the best tight end in this class, in my opinion. And that is Jalen Weidemeyer from Texas A&M. Very complete tight end. Can catch, can run. He's kind of in the mold of like a better athletic, great English. But like Hunter Henry in that mold, maybe not as good as of a run blocker. But I think Weidemeyer is the most complete tight end. I think you have Billingsley here from Alabama. I don't think he's the second. I think he's the second tight end. I don't think it's Cade Otton. Billingsley is very good athletically. But I think if you are the Chargers here, you are looking for that long-term safety net. You have Jared Cook. That's kind of a short-term option. I think Weidemeyer, plug and play, franchise tight end that you can grow and develop with Justin Herbert. That would be the selection I make there. 19, we have the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to have the Saints here go at wide receiver. I think the biggest question mark for the Saints right now is their other Ohio State wide receiver, Michael Thomas. What's going on there? Seems to be some issues between front office and him. He's had the injuries and stuff like that. There's rumors that he might be on the trade block or something. So I think ultimately, if you are looking at that Saints roster, wide receivers looking kind of thin. When you're relying on like Marquez Callaway to break out or Traquan Smith to break out, you're probably not where you want to be from a wide receiver depth standpoint. So the fact that you debatably get wide receiver 1 at pick 19 in the draft seems like a fairly easy pick for the Saints to make here. 20, we have the New England Patriots. From the Patriots, I'm going to have them get Sauce Gardner. Bring in a cornerback. You have J.C. Jackson, set to be a free agent. Probably not going to pay him. There's uncertainty with Stephon Gilmore. What's going on there? So I think I'm going to look at that Patriot roster. The biggest question mark for me outside of wide receiver is that cornerback spot. I think Maude Gardner is a very much first-round corner, long-rangey guy, good athlete, ball hawk. I think that is a great fit. Like sleeper pick. I don't know. People keep sleeping on Cincinnati a little bit. I have Cincinnati making the playoff. I think they're going to be the number 4 team in the country, and all is said and done, and Sauce Gardner is going to be a big part of that. Actually, kind of upset with the selection because he would be absolutely in play for me at pick 21 for the Philadelphia Eagles. But what I'm going to do here for Philly is I'm going to have to take a look in the secondary. I think safety is not a great spot for Philly. Is there a safety right now that I love at pick 21? Probably not, but again, it's an overreactionary mock draft. I think Jordan Battle, interesting. Brandon Joseph, ball hawk. Tyke Smith, transfer from West Virginia, was very productive. Catalan is getting slept on. He might be the top safety in this year's draft class after Hamilton. Might not declare, though. I'm pretty sure he's a redshirt sophomore. So is Brandon Joseph. I would say if this was my board and I'm Philadelphia, I'm considering a safety. It is between Brandon Joseph and Jalen Catalon. But for right now, I will grab Brandon Joseph. I think, insane production last year at Northwestern. For week 1, I think he led the team in tackles like that. Wasn't a great performance from them. But I think for Philadelphia, you look at that safety spot, Rodney McLeod's a year older, and we just don't have anything else right now long term because Anthony Harris is probably the best safety we have on the roster right now. 1-year deal. It's not a long-term solution by any means at that safety spot. So I think for Philadelphia, get the best safety available. And through week 1, I still think that spot there after Kyle Hamilton is Brandon Joseph. So that's 2 big-time additions for that Eagles secondary, getting Brandon Joseph and Derek Stingley. Dallas is up at 22, and they need corner, man. I'm recording this right after the Dallas Cowboy Tampa Bay Bucks game. Their secondary still butt cheeks, absolute butt cheeks. They did a good job containing Mike Evans, I guess, but I still think this is an opportunity to get, in my opinion, right now, the last first-round grade corner in the draft. That is Trent McDuffie from Washington. Maybe slight size concerns, but I still think he could project as an outside corner in the NFL. And, they're still just trying to figure it out, man. You got Brown, you got Diggs, you got Joseph. It's just, there still doesn't seem to be any vision, any firm depth chart, any established players yet that are kind of taking the reins and proving themselves as an outside corner. Diggs did have a pretty good performance. I'm pretty sure he was the guy that was locked up on Mike Evans. But I don't think there's any Dallas Cowboy fans at pick 22 that wouldn't want them to ignore the secondary. And McDuffie, for my opinion, is the last first-round grade corner on the board at this spot. 23, we have the Jets back up on the clock. So they got Evan Neal first. Now here at 23, it is time to improve the defense. And I'm going to have them get a little bit of projection right now. But Zach Harrison, the edge rusher from Ohio State, looked pretty good. Had some pop plays against Minnesota. And I think he will, when all said and done, just be that next. He's not going to be like the Bosa. I don't think he's ever going to really solidify himself as a top 10 pick. But I definitely think he will be a first-round pick that it's just more so he hasn't played a lot, right? It's buried on that depth chart of Ohio State. Lots of studs there, but you're starting to see flashes of talent. I think he is going to sneak in the first round and be a big edge rush upgrade for Salah's defense there. 24, Tennessee Titans. I'm going to have the Tennessee Titans here. Maybe a little bit of an outsider pick, but the Titans don't have a lot of holes, and I think looking at the corner board, it's not great. That would be the number one spot I think I would try to look at. I'm going to have them get a playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. I'm having them get the most athletic tight end in this class, Jaleel Billingsley from Alabama. They don't really have, they have Ferkser. They have a couple guys that they hope kind of take that next level, but ultimately I think the ceiling for the tight end room for Tennessee is not great, and they've been a team, obviously new OC with Arthur Smith gone, but still they've been a team that has, required good tight end, consistent tight end play. I think Billingsley, just another weapon to have on that offense, depending on how long they get out of Julio Jones. Obviously, A.J. Brown is a stud. I think Billingsley is a great weapon to add there for Ryan Tannehill and that offense. 25, we have the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to have the Browns here grab a linebacker, and they're going to get Christian Harris from Alabama. It's week 1, it's overreactionary. Probably, I agree with that, being like the highest rated off-ball linebacker. I think Brandon Smith might be the best athlete of the bunch, but I did not really, he even play against Penn State? I watched that game, Penn State, Wisconsin. I was like, let's see it for Brandon Smith. Let's see some plays from Brandon Smith. Was he play? I don't recall him making a play. He might not have been playing for all I know. But Christian Harris from Alabama, just a really technically sound middle linebacker, getting a lot of C.J. Mosley comps. And if you are the Cleveland Browns, you got J.O.K., right? But you're still trying to figure out the rest of that linebacker spot, still trying to figure out the other 2 positions. I think someone like Christian Harris can be a day 1 starter for that defense on what is one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. 26 for the Dolphins. They are now, I made the assumption here. They have Deshaun Watson, so they have their quarterback. So here at 26, I am going to have Miami take a look at the best wide receiver on the board, and that is Treylon Burks. Big time, powerful, possession type guy on the outside, jump ball playmaker that I think you look at the wide receiver, because you have Jalen Waddle, you still have Devontae Parker. What can complement that? And I think out of all these wide receivers, I think Treylon Burks does that. 225, 230, big time powerhouse. Kind of reminds me of Dez Bryant a little bit when Dez Bryant was coming out of Oklahoma State. I think he's probably a little bit better route runner than Dez Bryant. That was kind of always, Dez's Achilles heel there a little bit. But Treylon Burks did have the greatest performance against, week 1. But he's going to pop eventually, man. He is one of the best wide receivers in the SEC, if not the best. I think it's really him, Mitchie, and Pickens. I agree with the rankings. That is it for the wide receivers. I think Burks is kind of the mold that they want on that Dolphins offense there, and a big-time weapon to aid their quarterback, their brand new quarterback in Deshaun Watson. 27, we have the Baltimore Ravens here, and I'm actually have the Ravens improve the offensive line. They're going to get Jackson Kirkland, tackle from Washington, and finally replace the Orlando Brown. Get the other tackle that can play on the other side of Rodney Stanley. Just, come on, let's improve the offensive line. And hopefully they don't lose all their running backs due to injury again next season. Fairly easy pick, I think, here for Baltimore, sorry. 28, we have the Green Bay Packers. And I think for the Packers, I assume, the last dance there for Devontae Adams, for Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to have them grab my favorite wide receiver in the draft, and that is Canadian bias completely included, and that is John Mechie here from Alabama. Great athlete, great route runner, great hands. He might not have amazing anything, but he's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none, that could develop into a master of a couple things. So ultimately at this spot, you have the injury history with Justin Ross. Pickens seems like a little bit of a dick off the field. So at that spot, just go with, process of elimination. I think someone like Mechie is a great wide receiver going forward for Jordan Love. 29, the Detroit Lions are back on the clock. So they got Matt Corral at pick number 2, and then here at 29, they are going to improve their pass rush, and I'm going to have them go out the board here and get Tupula Fetui. We're going to call him ZTF. Very good. He hurt himself. There's kind of rumblings that he might be able to return this year, but he was amazing last year. In the I actually think the only Pac-12 games I was watching was Washington. He was insane, man. Big fan of draft Twitter, and I think for what they're trying to do there on that defense for Detroit, looks like a little bit of a reach if you're just going right off of this board. I think that if he does declare, he's absolutely going in the first round. Like you have Tryon, we've seen Tryon pop a little bit for the Bucks, and I don't think Tryon is the prospect that ZTF is. Pick 30, we have the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to have the Bills here. Looking at the room, I think they have room to add another wide receiver. It's a team that has a very good roster, and I think at this point, George Pickens, from what I saw from him, the last game that I fully watched from Georgia that George Pickens was in, it was obviously it's a little bit dated. It was with Fromm. He was unstoppable. He was uncoverable. They could not do anything. And yes, you get a little bit of the I don't know if he's watching or someone's watching, but I do get vibes of he's the prima donna wide receiver that kind of comes with the territory a little bit. But he's a beast, man. He backs it up. He absolutely backs it up. And I think if you are the Buffalo Bills, you have Stephon Diggs, but after that, you have a veteran of Manny Sanders. How long are you going to have renowned scientist Cole Beasley on the roster? Gabe Davis, solid, but is he going to be enough to develop into that wide receiver too? So I think at this point at 30, and you're the Bills, you're at 30, that's probably we need something else on the offense. We need something else that maybe can take this team over that hump so that we can come and pick 32 and win a Super Bowl. So I think I would definitely take the risk here on George Pickens. He does have an injury right now. I don't know what the timetable is for his return, but I think that is a nice little weapon there for Josh Allen. 31, we have the Bucks, and for them, I think I think someone like Jordan Battle can complement what they have in Antoine Winfield in that secondary. Pretty much can go anywhere. They have one of the most complete rosters. It's tough to project where they're going to be losing players. I think maybe defensive line on that front three could be interesting. Someone like maybe Jordan Davis, Tyler Davis, that could be in play to replace Ndamukong Suh. I think you could make arguments still at tackle. I'm not a fan of their left tackle there. So Zion Nelson, Charles Cross, Rasheed Walker was very good, at least in pass protection in that first game of week 1. But ultimately, I think just looking at their roster right now, you probably can improve that secondary just a little bit and get that long-term partner with Antoine Winfield for the next 5 years or so. And then finishing here at pick 32, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. And looking at this board, I think the Chiefs, again, if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to be in spot. You could take a Charles Cross, who a lot of people think maybe has some of the highest upside after Evan Neal at that tackle spot. So you grab him and see what he can do and upgrade over. I think Niang right now is the right tackle. You could go, again, Zion Nelson. You don't need the center. I think ultimately, there's some interesting options. Could go off the board here for sure. But I think, you don't overthink this one. I think Brandon Smith could be a very interesting option. Add another elite athlete, that linebacker spot. But ultimately, right now, I'm going to trust the board here just a little bit, and I'm going to have them get Myjai Sanders, the edge rusher from Cincinnati. Just because I look at that Chiefs roster, I think they're going to have to... I think they got to do a little bit of budgets. Now, obviously, it's there. You saw the pick. A little bit of budgeting, and I think Frank Clark, if you are trying to figure out, where can we save money? I know he's very expensive. Maybe the play, he's played well in the playoffs, but if you're looking at salary cap cows that you might want to move on from the Kansas City Chiefs just to be able to maintain that roster, could be edge rusher where they can thin a little bit. I think Sanders there. Pure pass rusher at this point definitely needs to develop his game a little bit, But I think, you have Chris Jones, something like that on the defensive line definitely helps out a little bit. And Sanders improving that defensive line is where I'm going. So there you go, fellas. Hope you had a little bit of fun in this video. This is my overreactionary Week 1 mock draft. And, yeah, let me know what you feel. But I'm sure most people probably hate the picks, despise the picks I made for your favorite team. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about it. That'll do it for me today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with a new episode of Pink Slips. Excited to drop that for you, so stay tuned to your sub boxes. Always, if it's your first time stopping by, hit that subscribe button. Trying to slowly work our way up to 150,000 subscribers. Hit that like button. Helps my videos out more than you know it. And I'll see you guys back in the next one. Thanks for watching, and peace out.